At my hospital bedside, my husband held my hand and said, "I'll be here forever." 2 hours later, the nurse whispered, "Your emergency contact just changed." My heart pounded as I checked my phone, a divorce notice. I took a deep breath and said, he should have waited. When he walked in, he wasn't expecting who was standing beside me. I never thought I'd be the person writing a story like this. But here I am, lying in a hospital bed, typing slowly with one hand because the other hasn't four-line running into it. I'm still trying to understand what the hell just happened. This started 5 days ago. I'm 45, married for 18 years. No kids, not by choice. We just never had luck with that, and over time, we learned to live with it. My husband, Daniel, always said I was enough. That we were enough. We live in Quezon City, Philippines. I work from home as a freelance editor. Daniel's a marketing manager at a multinational firm, always traveling, always busy, but he made time. At least I thought he did. The pain started as a dull ache in my stomach. I figured it was gas. Then it got worse. Like someone twisting a hot knife inside me. I took Buscopan. Didn't help. Ate crackers. Made it worse. At around 3 a.m., I was crying on the bathroom floor, curled up like a shrimp. Daniel rushed me to St. Luke's Medical Center. That's where the real story begins. The ER was packed. COVID cases were still popping up here and there, so everyone had masks. I was half conscious, groaning. Daniel was holding my hand, whispering, "Hang in there. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Doctors ran tests, pressed on my stomach, drew blood. A CT scan confirmed appendicitis. I'd need surgery. Nothing life-threatening, but I'd have to stay in the hospital for a few days. That night before surgery, Daniel stayed with me. I was scared. I don't do well with hospitals. He pulled a chair next to my bed, held my hand the whole time. Said, "You're strong. You'll get through this. I'll be here when you wake up. Forever, remember?" I nodded. We even laughed a little. That's what love is, right? Surgery happened early the next morning. It was fast, uncomplicated. I woke up groggy, sore, but okay. First thing I saw was Daniel's face. He smiled. "Told you you'd be fine." He kissed my forehead and told me to rest. The nurse who came to check on me wasn't the same one from earlier. She looked hesitant, a bit nervous. She leaned in and said quietly, "Ma'am, just so you're aware, your emergency contact was just changed in the system." I blinked. "What?" She looked uncomfortable. "It was updated a couple of hours ago. Just letting you know." I thanked her, even though my mind was spinning. Daniel was my emergency contact. Always had been. Why would that change? My phone was on the side table. I grabbed it. Notifications flooded in while I was out. Missed calls, texts, and an email from a law office. Subject: divorce initiation. Daniel Reyes. My heart dropped into my stomach. I opened it. It was a PDF attachment. Formal. Cold. It said he had filed, through an attorney, and that I would be served papers in the next few days. He listed a new emergency contact, someone named Althea M. Cruz. I'd never heard that name in my life. He was just here, saying forever, saying he'd be with me. And 2 hours later, he files for divorce? Who the hell does that? The pain in my stomach from the surgery suddenly wasn't the only thing hurting. My chest was tight. I couldn't breathe right. I called for the nurse. They calmed me down, checked my blood pressure. It was high. The nurse, I remember her name was April, sat next to me for a while. I asked her straight up if she saw the man who changed the emergency contact. She nodded. "Yes, ma'am. He said he was your husband." A few minutes later, I texted someone I hadn't spoken to in months, Dr. Miguel Reyes. No relation to Daniel. Miguel and I went to university together. He's a trauma surgeon. We'd been friends forever, but fell out of touch because Daniel wasn't comfortable with me having male friends. Still, I knew he worked at the same hospital. I sent a simple message. "Can you come see me? I really need someone." He came within 10 minutes. Miguel walked in, saw my face, and immediately pulled up a chair. He asked what happened, and I just broke down crying. I showed him the email. He didn't ask questions, just said, "I'm not leaving." Then the door opened again. Daniel walked in with a small bouquet. His smile vanished the second he saw Miguel sitting by my bed, holding my hand. Daniel looked like he'd seen a ghost. "Miguel." Miguel nodded. "Daniel." The tension was thick. I stared at my husband, the man who had filed for divorce while I was in surgery. I didn't care how petty it was. I pulled myself up in the bed and said, "Who the hell is Althea Cruz?" Daniel froze. I asked again, "Who is she?" He stammered. She's someone I've been seeing." Just like that. Calm. Like he was telling me he switched brands of toothpaste. Miguel's hand tightened around mine. I whispered, "So you lied. All of it was a lie. You said you'd be here forever." Daniel had the audacity to look sad. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this. But I can't lie anymore." I stared at him, my throat dry. "You filed for divorce the hour I went into surgery." He nodded. "It felt like the right time." "The right time?" Miguel stood up. "You need to leave. Now." Daniel looked at me, maybe expecting me to stop him. I didn't. I turned my head away. "I'm still here in the hospital. Still healing. But the betrayal cuts deeper than any surgery. And I haven't even replied to the lawyer's email yet. I don't know how this will end. But I know one thing: he really should have waited. Because Daniel had no idea who else I had contacted. And he definitely wasn't ready for what's coming next." The night after Daniel left, I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling. My body was sore from the surgery, but my head was screaming. I kept replaying everything in my mind. His hand in mine. His forever. The divorce notice. That damn name, Althea M. Cruz. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw his face. Calm. Cold. Like I was just some deal he'd finished. Miguel stayed with me until the nurses made him go. He said he'd come back in the morning. I didn't cry. Not because I was strong, but because I felt empty. Like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. I wasn't ready to tell my family. Not yet. But I needed answers. So I called someone who would know, Daniel's coworker, Carla. She and I used to be close. We drifted a bit, but I knew she was still at the firm. "Hey," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm in the hospital. Daniel just filed for divorce. While I was in surgery." There was a long pause on the other end. "SH*T," she said. "You don't know, do you?" My chest tightened. "Don't know what?" She sighed. "He's been seeing her for a while. Althea. She's not just a fling. She works at HQ in Singapore. He's been traveling there for months. People thought you knew." My blood ran cold. "She's young," Carla continued. "Mid-20s, I think. Kind of flashy. It got serious fast. He's planning to move there. We just thought you two had some kind of agreement." "No," I said quietly. "We didn't." By day 3, someone from Daniel's lawyer's office showed up at the hospital. At the hospital. Papers in a brown envelope. She didn't even look sorry. "I was told you'd be expecting this," she said, laying the envelope on the table next to my food tray. I didn't touch it. Then came the bank alerts. Our joint accounts, frozen. He had transferred most of our savings into a new account under his name. I still had my personal one, but the main one we used for bills, savings, emergency, all wiped clean. I couldn't believe it. Daniel wasn't just leaving. He was erasing me. He's a doctor, but more than that, he's sharp. He noticed things. When he heard about the money being moved, he got quiet. "Do you have a lawyer?" he asked. I shook my head. "I know someone. Let me call her." I didn't argue. I was too tired to fight alone. I gave him permission. A nurse came in, not Nurse April, but another one, older. She looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am," she said quietly, "there's a woman downstairs asking to see your husband." My stomach flipped. "What does she look like?" She hesitated. "Tall, fair-skinned, long brown hair. Maybe mid-20s?" She said her name is Althea. My hand curled into a fist under the blanket. I told the nurse, "Tell security she is not family. She is not my emergency contact. She is not allowed anywhere near this floor. Not text. Not email. Called." I stared at the screen. Thought about ignoring it. But I picked up. "You need to stop being dramatic," he said before I even spoke. "I was under anesthesia when you filed for divorce. You would have found out eventually. Better to rip the Band-Aid off." I almost laughed. "You took our money." "I moved my share," he said flatly. "I earned most of it." "And you brought her to the hospital?" "That wasn't the plan. She came on her own." "She's upset. She thought you'd already signed the papers." I nearly threw the phone across the room. "Remember when I said Miguel called his lawyer friend? Her name's attorney Isabel Mendoza. Tough as nails. She came to the hospital the next morning. Long black hair, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other. She looked through the documents. Then she looked at me and said, 'He made a huge mistake.' 'What do you mean?' 'He filed for divorce in the wrong jurisdiction,' she said. 'And based on the timing and his financial moves, we may have a case for fraud, emotional distress, and financial abuse.' If he's already transferred shared marital funds and tried to change your emergency contact without consent, that's grounds for a very messy, very public case. Miguel and I locked eyes. I don't want revenge, I said. She raised an eyebrow. No, but you deserve justice. Do you have access to his email? Yes. Yes, I did. He once used my laptop for work while his was getting fixed. He stayed logged into his Gmail. I opened it, typed his password. Still worked. And what I saw in those emails was worse than anything I imagined. I scrolled through Daniel's Gmail with shaking hands. Most of it was boring, work stuff, flights, hotel confirmations. But then I searched one word, Althea. What popped up almost made me drop the laptop. There were dozens of emails. And not just lovey-dovey crap. No, these were plans. Subject: finalizing move, transition details. Another: can we delete her from your health insurance early? Another one: this one made me stop breathing. If we time the documents with her surgery, she'll be too weak to fight. That was sent by Althea. Dated 3 days before my surgery. She knew. She knew I was going under. And Daniel had shared that with her. They planned to hit me while I was unconscious and defenseless. This isn't just betrayal, he said slowly. This is coordinated manipulation. And possibly criminal. We printed the emails. Sent them to Attorney Mendoza. Within hours, she sent me a message. Do not sign anything. And be prepared. I've filed an injunction. Miguel knocked on my hospital door the next morning with a strange look on his face. You're not going to believe this, he said. Apparently, Althea had shown up again. But not to visit Daniel. She'd been trying to access my medical records. One of the interns overheard her asking someone in radiology if she could get a copy of my discharge and current medications. That's when hospital security flagged her and reported it to admin. Admin told Miguel. He stormed down to the floor and found her arguing with a nurse. Security escorted her out. She called Daniel right there in the lobby, screaming. I wasn't told exactly what she said, but someone heard the phrase, "She's ruining everything. You promised me this would be clean." That same night, Daniel showed up at the hospital again. This time, not with flowers, not with a fake smile. He looked angry, tired, desperate. I need to talk to you, he said, walking in like nothing was wrong. Miguel was there, arms crossed. I didn't even have to say anything. Daniel's eyes darted around. Can we talk alone? No, I said. Not anymore. He sat down anyway. I didn't want this to happen like this. Althea, she was supposed to wait. Wait for what? Miguel snapped. For her to steal medical records? Daniel blinked. What are you talking about? So I told him. Everything. The emails. The hospital report. Her trying to dig into my meds. He looked genuinely shocked. And that's when it hit me. He wasn't just a cheater. He was a fool. A fool who had no idea who he was dealing with. But then came the final twist, at least for now. I got a call from Attorney Mendoza later that evening. She said she ran a background check on Althea. And guess what? Althea wasn't just a random young woman. She'd been married. Recently divorced. But not cleanly. Her ex-husband filed a protection order against her. There were allegations of identity theft, manipulation, and coercion. And here's the kicker. She had a history of targeting older, married men with money. She's done this before, Mendoza said. And you are not her first victim's wife. Daniel wasn't a mastermind. He was a mark. And now, both of us were in danger for very different reasons. I haven't told Daniel everything yet. I don't know if I will. He's still blind to who she really is. But one thing's for sure. I'm not just fighting for my dignity anymore. Now I'm fighting to stop something far darker. And this story? It's nowhere near over. It all came crashing down 2 days after Althea got kicked out of the hospital. By then, the hospital had issued an official letter banning her from the premises, citing unauthorized attempts to access confidential patient data. Miguel had it framed like it was some kind of trophy. But none of that stopped what happened next. Daniel asked to meet at the hospital cafe. He said he needed to explain everything. I didn't want to go, but something in me needed to see it through. Miguel insisted on coming with me. So we went. The hospital cafe was half full. Nurses on break, a couple of med students, 2 elderly women sharing a bowl of arroz caldo in the corner. And then she walked in. Althea. Red lipstick. Oversized sunglasses. Heels way too high for a hospital hallway. She walked straight to Daniel's table without looking at me. I was still halfway to the table when she said, loudly, "You said she'd be gone by now." Heads turned. I stopped in my tracks. Miguel grabbed my arm. but I pulled free and walked the last few steps. Daniel stood up. Althea, not here. No, she snapped. I've waited long enough. You promised me the accounts would be cleared. You promised you'd file for divorce before the surgery. She's still dragging this out. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Dragging this out? You tried to dig through my health records. In the middle of my recovery. That caught everyone's attention. The two nurses turned toward us. One of them whispered something and pulled out her phone. Althea's jaw tightened. You don't know anything about me. Miguel stepped forward. Calm. Controlled. Actually, we do. We know about your ex-husband. The restraining order. The identity theft charges. You've done this before, haven't you? Daniel blinked. Wait, what is he talking about? Althea's smile cracked. You didn't tell him? I asked. Didn't tell him about the charges? The other married men? The accounts you emptied before ghosting them? Daniel looked like someone had pulled the ground out from under him. That's not true, he said weakly. Check your bank account, I said. Better yet, check your credit card history. He pulled out his phone. His fingers fumbled. She tried to grab it. Daniel, don't. But it was too late. I saw it on his face when the truth hit. Charges to an airline. Jewelry. A hotel booking in Palawan for 2-3 days before my surgery. All in his name. I thought we were building something, he said quietly. You told me she was manipulating me. That you were different. Althea's voice dropped. Cold. I did what I had to do. You were easy. Then she turned to me. You win, okay? You're the poor sick wife. Everyone feels bad for you. But let's be real, you lost him long before I showed up. I opened my mouth to speak, but Miguel stepped in. No. She lost nothing, he said. You never belonged here. Althea stormed out. Heels clicking. One of the nurses gave her a glare so sharp, I thought it might cut through glass. Daniel just sat there. Frozen, he didn't say anything for a full minute. Then he buried his face in his hands and started crying. Not silent tears. Full, heaving sobs. He muttered between gasps. I didn't know. I thought I had a second chance. I thought I was saving myself. I stood there, watching the man I once loved fall apart. And I didn't feel sorry for him. I didn't feel angry. I felt free. Miguel walked me back to my room. The elevator ride was quiet. When the doors opened, the nurse from earlier gave me a nod. Drama in the cafe, she whispered to another. Wish I filmed it. I didn't care. No flowers. No fake smiles. He looked like he hadn't slept. He sat beside my bed, hands on his knees. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know who I am anymore. I didn't answer. I lost everything, he said. But the worst part is knowing I did it to myself. That part? I believed. I told him, quietly, that I'd signed the divorce papers, my own version, through my own lawyer, not the mess he filed. He nodded, got up to leave, turned back once. You were always the better person, he said. Then he left. Reflection. Weeks later, I'm back home now. Recovery was slow, but steady. The house is quiet. His things are gone. But I don't feel empty. Miguel visits sometimes. We sit on the porch, talk about stupid things, or just watch the sky. My lawyer's still working on the case. Althea is under investigation again, different country, same patterns. Maybe this time they'll stick. People ask me if I'll ever forgive him, or if I'll ever love again. Truth? I don't know. But here's what I do know. He should have waited. She should have never come near me. And I'm still here. Not broken. Not the same. But still standing.